up, everyone? This is Lan here with another episode of Cheeseheadz Weekly. Um, this is an exciting time for sure. We're getting close to the start of the NFL regular season, and I'm getting excited for that for sure. This is episode 32 now of the show. Um, Another jam-packed episode. We're going to be doing the NFC North preview, our final preview, um, division preview, and yeah, gonna talk some Packers, talk NFC North, so that's gonna be pretty fun. And I'm gonna give my game predictions for Week 1. Um, and since, by the way, this week, or I guess you could say next week, this week is when it kicks off here, Thursday night. We have the Chiefs and the Lions facing off. We'll get into all that. I'm going to do my week 1 predictions. I will say, maybe you're thinking, like, I'm doing all these division previews. I already predicted every single game. I'm going to go through and predict again without even looking at my division previews because, to be honest with you, my guess is my predictions now are going to be different than my division previews say. Because maybe I did that too quick, didn't put enough thought into it. I don't know, but I was just kind of doing it, as I was going along, kind of what I'm thinking. And now, just the way the whole thing's shaped up together, I'm like, it doesn't look right at all. I can about guarantee you that there's going to be multiple teams, lots and lots of teams. They're not. I might not have predicted a single team's record correctly. Either way, we're gonna look at it at the end of the season and see what we got. You never know. I mean, some of those are pretty bold predictions. Maybe they will come true. We have no idea. I really doubt it, but which is why I'm going to be making predictions as the season goes on. That's just my look at everything before the season, and like I started my first one, the AFC South, way back in the off season before training camp and stuff. So that makes a difference as well. So as we go through the season, with the momentum, the way injuries end up. We'll be doing predictions throughout the season probably, and recapping games, and especially Packers games, obviously. So before we get into the show today, we are going to let you know that there are Q&As and polls in every single episode on Spotify. Check that out. Um, Participate in those. That's a lot of fun, just to get some discussion. There's a link in the description to send in a voice message every episode and every platform. You could send in a question, disagree with my takes. I mean, if we start getting enough voice messages, questions about the Packers, which would be great. Any questions that you want me to address, maybe we can do a Q&A episode sometime if we get a bunch of those in. Um, Kind of, we listen to all those questions and go through and answer those. But maybe that would be a good thing to do during the Packers bye week, at the start of the season, all kinds of questions. But you can do that now, and I'll answer them. Different shows, and I can set aside a show for a Q&A if there's enough of them. So that'd be awesome if we could see some of those. The show's available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Pandora. No longer on Stitcher. Stitcher kind of just left and sort of is Pandora. Pandora is pretty much the new Stitcher. Um, New episodes on Tuesday. Hit the bell icon on Spotify or anywhere else that you could find that. That'll notify you when a new episode comes out, which is nice. You can follow the show on Instagram. I have an Instagram account at Cheeseheadz_weekly. Be sure to check that out. I'll be posting random clips of Packers highlights, probably different things like that. Um, Different episodes, maybe. Yeah, who knows? All kinds of interesting little tidbits that I find interesting on there. You can tell your friends about the show. That really helps get the word out to everyone. You can rate the show. That also helps to spread the word. It can be a good rating, bad rating. Ratings in general help grow the show. Yeah, just be honest, and yeah, it'd be great if we could see some more ratings. Um, Also, check out the website at greatcove.net/cheeseheads. Every episode is on there. Um, Occasionally, if I find myself with some extra time on my hands, I may post an article, especially if it's big news, but not a ton of that because I don't have time for um, all these things. And that, yeah, you might not find a ton of stuff on Instagram either, but I'll do what I can and try to make things interesting for you all. But obviously, the episodes is what I'm really focused on, so you can keep coming back and listening to them every single Tuesday. Um, so I guess we will get into the division preview to start things off. Just right from the gun, not a ton of big news. The Packers made a few moves on their initial 53-man roster. They dropped Jonathan Ford, moved Luke Tenuta to IR, a few different things. They claimed tight end Ben Simmons from the Vikings. They claimed Zane Anderson from the Bills, mainly just a special teamer there. Tariq Carpenter was also released. They signed a Ravens linebacker to the practice squad. Um, Lots of different stuff. They had attempted to claim wide receiver slash tight end Elijah Higgins from the Dolphins. They tried to claim him off waivers, and he would be interesting, an interesting piece, maybe more of a gadget guy. I don't know. Um, with all these moves, Emmanuel Wilson did not leave the 53-man roster. He's still there, so that's a testament to his greatness, um, how well he's performed. Um, Yeah, so they had released Tariq Carpenter, Jonathan Ford. Tariq Carpenter, they did not sign back to the practice squad. He went and signed with the Steelers, and so, or the Steelers practice squad. And so then the Packers didn't immediately sign Jonathan Ford either, which I was starting to get a little bit upset about because in my mind I thought it was a good move to have him on the 53, and the fact, I mean, I wasn't I wouldn't I wasn't making a huge deal about it when they released him and make room for some of these guys they claimed because I was like, well, they'll just sign him to the practice squad. They didn't for a little bit, but now they did do that and release James Empey, the center. So that's good. They can call him up on game days if they need help and run support, and he's shown some improvement, and I'm glad he is back here with the Packers on their practice squad. So let's get into the preview. We'll start with looking at strength of schedule. At number 6, some fairly easy schedules here. Number 6 is the Bears. They have a nice, easy schedule. Number 11 is the Packers. And then 18 is the Lions, a little harder. And then Vikings all the way down at 27, which confirms kind of my prediction that they're not going to be that great this season. But, I mean, I don't like the Vikings either, so that definitely played a part. Chicago has also the best rest edge, tied for the best with the Jets and the Commanders at plus 12. So they got a lot going for them this year. And then we have, let me see. Sometimes it's very hard to find these. Green Bay has a net plus 0 rest edge, so they're right in the middle. Yeah, plus 0. We got Minnesota at minus 2 for their net rest edge, which is not a rest edge because it's minus 2. And we got Detroit is the one I'm looking for at plus 1, just ahead of the Packers. So Chicago plus 12, Lions plus 1, Packers plus 0, and then Minnesota at minus 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at my projections here. Let me see. We go to the Bears to start. So The Bears. I have them projected to come in last in the NFC North division. Um, they start off week one versus the Packers. Um, yeah, my projection here. This will be correct as far as my week one projection as well. They play a Sunday 4:25 in the afternoon. I might get in a little bit into that. Um, that's Eastern, 4:25 Eastern, 3:25 Central. If you're in Wisconsin, chances are, if you're a Packers fan, you already knew that, and it's gonna be a banger of a game. I cannot wait for it. I'm hoping I can watch it. Uh, I might not be able to though. It's not great living um, away from just out of market for most of their games. But at any rate, I have the Bears will be at home. It will be in Chicago versus the Packers, but I have them losing to the Packers. We'll get into that a little more later. Week 2 at the Buccaneers, they lose. Week 3 at the Chiefs, they lose. Week 4 at home versus the Broncos, they lose. At the Commanders on Thursday Night Football in Week 5, they lose. That one could be close though, and very easily could be a Bears win as well. At home versus the Vikings in Week 6, I have them winning that one. A little bit of an upset right there. And then at home versus the Raiders in Week 7, that's a loss. At the Chargers on Sunday Night Football, that's a loss in Week 8. Week 9, at Saints, loss. At home versus the Panthers, Thursday Night Football, it's a loss though. At Lions in Week 11, that's a loss. At Vikings on Monday Night Football, Week 12, that's a loss. Then it's their bye week, Week 13. At home versus the Lions in Week 14, they lose. At the Browns in Week 15, they lose. At home versus the Cardinals, they lose to the Cardinals. Big surprise there, but hey, Kyler Murray could be back by then, so maybe they'll be able to do a little something. Versus the Falcons, at home, it's a win. Week 18, then they play the Packers again. Week 1 and Week 18, they play the Packers, and I have them losing again when they play the Packers in Green Bay. They go 3-14 in contention for the number 1 pick. Obviously, I have the Cardinals projected to get that with their only win on the season over the Bears. Okay, on to I'm not even sure which one is next. It's Vikings or Lions. So we'll go down here. We have an 8-9 team. Then we have an 11-6 team here. 5-12. This is, oh nope, sorry, that's the wrong division. 6-11. This is what we're looking for, and it's the Vikings coming in third in the division at 6-11. And here's how they get there. In week 1 at home versus the Buccaneers, they get a win, but then they go to play the Eagles on Thursday Night Football in Philadelphia. They lose. They play the Chargers at home. They lose, and at Carolina they get a win. But they play the Chiefs at home and lose. Like I said, this is a hard schedule. Lots of good teams here. And then they get upset by the Bears in Chicago at home versus the Niners. Another tough game there on Monday Night Football. They lose. Then they play the Packers in Green Bay and lose. They go to play the Falcons and win. Play the Saints at home. They win. At Broncos Sunday Night Football. They lose. Then at home versus the Bears Monday Night Football. They lose. And I think I just messed something up already. If we just go right up here, yeah, I have the Vikings winning that one. So let me just change that here real quickly. So against the Bears on Monday Night Football at home, I have them actually winning that one. I will adjust their record accordingly if need be. Then it's their bye week. Then they play the Raiders in Las Vegas and lose. They play the Bengals in Cincinnati, another tough one, and lose. Play the Lions at home and win. Play the Packers at home on Sunday Night Football and win. And then they play the Lions again at Detroit. They lose, and I don't know for sure what their record is here. Let me just check real quick. It is now 7-12, so they have a 7-12 record. We will put that right in here. All right. So 7-12 is the record for the Vikings, coming in third and in the division. Now we go up to second, and we have here the Detroit Lions. They start out versus the Chiefs in Kansas City on Thursday Night Football. It's a loss. They play the Seahawks at home and lose. Then they get their first win in Week 3 versus the Falcons at home versus the Falcons. Then they play the Packers in Green Bay on Thursday Night Football. They lose that one. The Panthers at home. It's a win. In Tampa Bay, they play the Buccaneers and they win. They play Baltimore in Baltimore and lose. They play the Raiders at home on Monday Night Football and win. And it's their bye week. And then they play the Chargers in Los Angeles and lose. At home versus the Bears, they win. At home versus the Packers, they win. At the Saints, they win. At the Bears, they lose. At home versus the Broncos, they lose. At the Vikings, they lose. At Cowboys, they lose. At home versus the Vikings on Week 18, finish the season with a win. They go 8-9, which is actually one game worse than what they did last year. There's a ton of hype around them. I think they're going to be a pretty good team. I mean, 8-9 doesn't look that great. It's a losing record. I don't know. I think they're going to be kind of middle of the pack and have a chance to compete for playoffs, but maybe not ultimately make it. I'm going to hopefully go through and make a playoff bracket here, but we'll see what happens with that. So that is the Lions. Let's go to the Packers now. We'll get into this in a little bit more detail. I was hoping to get a guest on the show to talk Packers, schedule, but that didn't materialize, so it looks like I will be doing it here myself. So they start off at the Bears with a win, at the Falcons with a win, at home versus the Saints, that's a win, at home versus the Lions, a win, at Las Vegas Raiders, they win, then they have a bye week. So they start out with 5 straight wins. Is that a little unreasonable? Yes, probably. I am a Packers fan. It was really hard, but I think it's going to be a really close one. I would love to see the Packers win. It's going to be so much fun. They're in Chicago. I would just love to see Jordan Love just to see Jordan Love own the Bears too, just like Rodgers has been, and I think he can. I just can't wait to see it. I also think it's quite possible that the Bears offense, with Fields running all over the place, just absolutely demolishes the Packers defense, and there's nothing Jordan Love can do to win. I think that is a very likely scenario. But either way, I did project Packers to win that one. Then when they go to play the Falcons, I really think that's a very winnable game. The Falcons' run game is pretty good though, and that could be a problem for Green Bay. I think ultimately they have the better offense, the better quarterback. I think they can get the win there. At home versus the Saints, could be very close. Saints have a veteran quarterback, good run game, good pass game, should at least. Defense should be pretty good. I mean, they're in playoff contention for sure. The Saints are. I think they should be a playoff team. But I have the Packers winning. They are at home. That's their advantage. And I think their offense can keep pace with the Saints' offense. It just really comes down to defense. And if the Packers create a turnover or two, I think they can win that one. Plus, I'd love to see them get revenge on the Saints for their loss in Week 1. 2 years back now, when Rodgers lost to them. So that's kind of my thought process there. At home versus the Lions, I think I had them losing to the Lions in Detroit. The Lions normally, historically, they've been splitting that series. Although last year, for the first time, they did lose both of those games. I have them beating the Lions at home. So after their bye in week 6, they go to play the Broncos and lose, but they play the Vikings at home and win. They play the Rams at home and lose. They go to play the Steelers in Pittsburgh and get the win. That would be fun. And the fact that it's in Pittsburgh means it's fairly close to me. And I would absolutely love to be able to go see that game. Unfortunately, I mean, the tickets are actually fairly cheap for that game. It's one of the Packers' cheapest games. It's just, yeah, it's still, cheap tickets are still expensive. So it doesn't really matter what the price is. But then they play the Chargers at home and lose. They go to play the Lions in Detroit. They lose that one. They lose to the Chiefs at home. I'd love to see them win that one, since they lost to the Chiefs earlier in Jordan Love's first start. I'd love to see him come out here much improved and just go out here and beat him up. But I don't see that happening. The Chiefs are a little bit too good for that. At the Giants, I'd like to see them get revenge in this game too from last season, so I say they win. They play the Buccaneers at home, they get the win. They play the Panthers in Carolina and win. Then they play the Vikings at Minnesota and lose. They play the Bears at home and win. So they absolutely own the Bears. They split the Vikings and Lions series, and they finish 11-6 and number 1 in the division. Most people have them projected below the Bears, all the way at the bottom of the division. I don't, and I'm probably too high on them. But this is probably the high end, okay? This is probably their upside right here, to be completely honest. It could be worse than this. But do they go 3-14? No. Do the Bears go 3-14? Well, yeah, probably not either. Probably they're better than that, um, and so that's where your argument is, where people are higher on the Bears than the Packers. I get that. But yeah, I think the Packers very much can win the division. Will they go just dominate, go 11-6 doing it? Maybe not, but I think I am gonna predict that they win the division. Okay, this is definitely the higher upside for as far as record, but one of my major bold predictions of the season, I think Jordan Love can lead the Packers to a division title his first year. That's my bold prediction. And I'm going to stand by that throughout the season, and we'll see what happens there. So, next week, we'll be going over the games. I will hopefully make up a playoff bracket based on my previews, my standings for every single division that I've now done. And we will put all those names in there, and yeah, it'll be great. We'll figure out who all is going to be in the playoffs and what all will be happening based on that. Should be interesting to see how it turns out, because I know my projections are a little bit off now that I look back at them. But yeah, it would be pretty interesting to see what happens. So let us, without further ado, go back and go over all the week 1 games and see who I project to win each one of these games in week 1. So, we start off on Thursday Night Football with the Lions at the Chiefs. And I'm going to say that the Chiefs win this one. And I don't know, maybe I should be writing down the score too. I don't need to go that in depth though. The line for this game, Caesar, based on Caesar Sportsbook. I don't bet, by the way, but I'll give you the line. Line is KC minus 6.5. The over/under is 54.5. So they're projecting it to be a fairly high-scoring game. I would probably, man, I don't know if I was a betting man what I would take here, but at any rate, the Chiefs are 6.5 point favorites. Yeah, I expect them to win, and I'd probably take the under. I think that's a lot of points to score on Thursday Night Football in Week 1, but you never know. I mean, some Week 1s are very high scoring, so um, yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs to win. People are saying the Lions could upset them. That's certainly possible. There's also a lot of hype around the Lions, and I think the Chiefs are going to be able to take care of business and come out with a win. So on to the Sunday games. We at 1 o'clock here. The Panthers go to play the Falcons, a division game. The line is Atlanta minus 3.5, over under 39.5. So Atlanta's projected to win. I think I'm going to have to go with Atlanta as well, being the home team. Um, and it is a dome. They'll be playing in a dome. So yeah, I think the Falcons are the home team. They have a quarterback with a little bit, only a little bit, but yes, a little bit more experience than Desmond Ridder. Bryce Young, I think, is going to go through some rookie struggles, especially to start the season. So we're going to put it, and with the Falcons' run game, they can take some pressure off Ridder. And so yeah, I'm going with the Falcons on that one. The next game here. The Bengals against the Browns. Bengals at the Browns. The line is Cincinnati minus 2.5. The over/under is 47.5. I'd probably take the over on this one personally. And I would probably take the under on the Panthers Falcons game. But I think I'd take probably the over on the Bengals Browns. I think that has the potential to be very high scoring. But at any rate, um, it's going to be. I'm not sure it's going to be that close. I think the Bengals get the win here. We don't know about Watson. Well, okay. This does depend on whether Burrow's playing. I think he's on track to play. From what I've heard, he's been back at practice. Um, yeah. We'll see what the injury report says. If Burrow plays, then they win this handily. If not, then I'd say the Browns win probably. But I think Deshaun Watson, I mean, you got Nick Chubb, but Deshaun Watson, I'm not sure he's ever going to be back to Deshaun Watson, the old Deshaun Watson days. Um, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. And boy, if you go here to, we have tickets as low as $30 in this next one, Jaguars at Colts. The line is Jacksonville minus 5. Over under is 45. I would take the under on this one. And Jacksonville wins this one quite handily. Anthony Richardson could make a few splash plays. I can see that happening, but Jonathan Taylor will not be playing. Yeah, the Colts have no chance versus Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley and company. Calvin Ridley's been getting a lot of hype too. Buccaneers go to play the Vikings at home. The line is Minnesota minus 6. Over/under is 45.5. I think I'd have to take the under here as well. But I have to say that the Vikings are going to win. They got Kirk Cousins. They got Justin Jefferson. They've been good in week ones in the past. Yeah, Jefferson's going to just torch the Bucs defense. And they got Baker Mayfield starting for them. They're kind of not in a great position at the moment to be winning a game like this. So that is a Vikings win. Titans at Saints. Line is New Orleans minus 3. Over/under is 41. I'd be willing to take the over on this one maybe. But I'm not actually betting, so I'm not making it. This is just a snap decision, just rattling something off. This is indoors as well. And Bucks Vikings and Jags Colts is indoors, are all indoors. At any rate, I think that this is an easy win for the Saints. They have it projected to be pretty close. Saints are only 3-point favorites, but they're at home. They got Derek Carr. Yeah, I think they can win this one. They got Chris Olave too, who I will be keeping my eye on for sure. I have them in our Dynasty League. So next game, 49ers at Steelers. The line is San Francisco minus 2.5. The over/under is 41. I'm kind of surprised. San Francisco is only 2.5 point favorites. I guess it is in Pittsburgh, and who knows what San Francisco is going to be. Purdy coming off the injury. I do think the 49ers will still win this, but it could be a pretty fun game to watch. See how Kenny Pickett does out the gate. As far as the over/under, I'd probably take the under here. Some really good defenses, and the offense could be a little bit slow to start. I think the Steelers' offense could come out a little faster, but ultimately the Niners are going to come out on top. Cardinals at Commanders. Man, it's Washington minus 7. Over/under's 38. I'd probably have to take. Man, I'd probably have to take the under, but not like that even matters. And then yeah, I'm gonna have to say the Commanders win that one too. I mean, 7 point favorites. They're at home, and the Cardinals are in shambles. Another game at 1 o'clock. Texans at Ravens. Baltimore minus 10. Over/under 43.5. I will take the under probably. I don't know. I think maybe I should just stop trying to project that because it's just wasting a lot of time at this point. But Ravens win that one easily. CJ Stroud's going to struggle to start. And the Ravens defensive front will probably give him some trouble, especially if their O-line can't protect him. And I think Lamar Jackson is going to start out hot with OBJ, Zay Flowers, all his new shiny toys, if you want to call humans that. The Raiders will go to play the Broncos at 4:25. The line is minus 3.5 in Denver's favor. Over/under's 44. This one could be fairly close, but a little bit of quarterback concern for the Raiders. I don't know. Maybe I should take the upset here. Ah, man, I really feel like it. I feel like the Raiders are almost more established than the Broncos. Broncos still trying to sort of figure things out. And I think the Broncos can have a bounce back year to some extent, but they might be a little slow to get things figured out. I'm going to take the Raiders to win this one. Jimmy G and the Raiders. Eagles will play the Patriots at the Patriots. The Eagles will win this one. Only minus 4 point favorites, which surprises me a little bit. The over/under is 45. I'd probably take the under just because I don't think the Patriots are going to score that many points. Yeah. It's good to see Bill Belichick seems to be a little bit more behind Mac Jones this year, though. Another game at 4:25. We have Dolphins at Chargers. Minus 3.0 favorites is the Chargers. Over/under of 51. Man, they want this one to be high scoring. I'd probably take, to be honest, I'd take the over, and we'll go with Chargers. This could be a really fun game. Sorry, Chargers. Why would I go Chargers? I'm going with the Dolphins. Dolphins all the way. Sorry, we're going with the upset. Yes, Dolphins are playing the Chargers at the Chargers, but yeah, going upset Dolphins, and I think we're gonna score more than 51 points in this one. The Rams will take on the Seahawks at the Seahawks, and Seattle projected to win minus 5. Over/under 46.5. Seahawks win this one handily. Packers Bears is in there, like I said. I want to actually know what the line is. The line is -1 for Chicago. Wow, it is actually pretty close. It's at Chicago. I expected most people to think Chicago's gonna win, but the line is Chicago's only 1 point favorites as of now. And boy oh boy, tickets are as low as $247. Smackaroos. So that's a good bit of money. Apparently people are excited for this one. Um, I mean, I'm excited for it, but I wouldn't think so many others would be if you're not a Packers fan. Um, and so the Cowboys will play um, the Giants at the Giants on Sunday Night Football, sorry, on NBC at 8:20 p.m. The line is Dallas minus 3.5, over under 46.5. I'll take Dallas to win this one, although it could be closer than some people think. Then the big one, Bills Jets, Monday Night Football at the Jets. The line is Buffalo minus 2.5 and 46.5 over under. I'm going to go ahead, make a little bit of a bold prediction, and say the Jets win. Now, don't get me wrong. Um, I'm not very much of a Rodgers fan. I have not been watching Hard Knocks. But I get that there's a ton of hype here. I think their coaching staff is really good. I think they got him in a pretty good spot. At least Saleh does. Who knows about Nathaniel Hackett? Not so sure about him. But the way Rodgers is seeming to be all in a little bit more this year, all this stuff combined, and with all the hype, I'm going to say the Jets win this one and just get the hype train going at a million miles an hour, something like that. So, Jets win this one. And that is it for today's episode. We went a little bit long. I mean, just like last week. Um, yeah, follow the show, rate the show, participate in the Q&As, polls, send in a voice message. Remember, send in some questions. I will answer them. Any question you want, and I love to discuss that sort of thing. And then follow the show on Instagram. Check out the website. Um, and tell your friends about the show. And I will talk to you next Tuesday to give you my reactions of Week 1's games. Cannot wait for the season to start. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.